Hey, I'm Forrest,
And I'm Alex.
and we're here to tell you the secret to the ozone formula. Ozone is invisible, but you can tell that it's there when you die from it. The WHO state that around 7 million people die each year linked to pollution, and ozone is one of the most common pollution issues. Ozone is formed primarily in urban areas and causes respiratory disorders to worsen and develop. Cars and coal-burning power plants produce toxic chemicals in their exhaust. But the worst part of it all is that the exhaust also contains the ingredients for a more dangerous chemical, that ozone. And that's where it gets really interesting. Ozone does not come out of car exhaust. Ozone isn't emitted by a factory, or really anyone. Sometimes copying machines. Sort of. Ozone is formed when it's sunny out, in the free air above a city or nearby. Its existence is due to chemical reactions on beautiful, sunny days. Have you ever seen a hazy summer day in the city? Usually that's due to the formation of ozone. But where does it come from? What's the secret? Let's start with something everyone knows is bad: carbon monoxide. Car and many other engines, almost every type of combustion really, always gives out some carbon monoxide in their exhaust. This gas is already bad for you, but under the right conditions, it can get worse. Another important component in the formula is also given off by exhaust. Nitric oxide isn't directly harmful to humans, but when it's a beautiful day, it comes out to wreak havoc on the atmosphere. Now, the only other thing we need is something called a free radical. We could spend more time explaining it, but I think its name is so cool everyone will just remember it anyway. Hydroxyl. Come on, super cool name. The hydroxyl radical is very friendly and has a bunch of energy to lend out. So it attacks our little molecule of poisonous carbon monoxide, and once they react, they form a greenhouse gas. It's not poisonous anymore, but it's still harmful to us, CO2, and something else super special. They form another excitable and friendly molecule, atomic hydrogen, the simplest molecule in the universe. This tiny, tiny hydrogen goes on to form a huge mess when it meets the right molecule to piggyback on. And it's a pity for us, really, that molecule is one of the most common in the atmosphere, oxygen, the one we breathe. Together, they form another extroverted party-goer of a molecule. And this time, it really can't keep it in. And they meet with a molecule that we learned about earlier, nitric oxide. And here's where nitric oxide starts to become harmful to us. Nitric oxide turning into its counterpart, the nitrogen dioxide, that NO2, is one of the final and most key steps to this equation. At the end of the equation, you can see the hydroxyl radical from before is regenerated. Now comes the secret ingredient. Like any good potion, the formula for ozone requires a little bit of magic, and this time it's sunlight. It hits the nitrogen dioxide and explodes it, and all of that energy is condensed at the end to regenerate the nitric oxide from before and make a very excited single atom of oxygen. This single atom absorbs all the energy that the photon had and is vibrating like crazy with excitement. This oxygen didn't just drink a cup of coffee, it ate an entire batch of beans straight from the roaster. And finally we have it, the last step. This crazy excited oxygen atom finds another regular pair of oxygen atom and makes ozone. Eventually, this ozone will go on to destroy any organic molecule it comes across, any plastics, flesh, petroleum, or otherwise organic particle that it finds will be oxidized, basically rusted in its own way when the ozone hits it. And that is why ozone is such a bad pollutant. All that excitement that gets chained along through this whole formula, even the sunlight that splits up that nitrogen oxide, is captured in this final molecule of ozone, and it aggressively destroys any molecule it can when they bump into each other later. And now you know the secret to the ozone formula. Exhaust, hydroxyl, and some sunlight at the end. And you can actually apply that formula to almost any other chemical. We don't have to start with dangerous carbon monoxide. The same chain of events that you can see here can happen and result in ozone when almost anything that comes out of a car exhaust or a factory or even you. Your own farts, the methane in them at least, can easily set off another ozone reaction and go on to devastate urban areas with the haze of pollution. Luckily, since this reaction requires sunlight, ozone is not a problem at night. If you really want to decrease pollution, folks, just drive at night. It's not like that stays around till morning. Oh, but it does. But that's a secret for another time. Enjoy polluting and have a beautiful, hazy day.